More to Marketing.
Welcome to More to Marketing, the podcast that explores marketing, product, and everything business. I'm your host, Susan, and today we're going to be talking about how to craft a community and connect with your actual audience. I'm very thrilled today because I have a very special guest, Casey Cheshire, joining us as a seasoned marketing specialist and strategist and entrepreneur. He is so many things all in one, plus a podcaster too. We'll get to that in a second. Now, he has made a huge, significant impact in B2B marketing because he absolutely loves what he does. He's founded his own company. He's founded multiple podcasts and all sorts of different things with different companies all the time because he has such a passion for it. So Cheshire Impact is a company to look out for. It has been the #1 Salesforce Partner because he loves making audiences and making all these connections. Under his leadership, they have actually helped over 2,600 clients to successfully innovate and do the revenue optimization model, which sounds very interesting. He is also an author. If he wasn't busy enough, he's actually penned his own book, which has been in the top 100 best B2B marketing books of all time. And that is called Marketing Automation Unleashed. I will have that in the show notes, everyone. He has shared his expertise with thousands of marketers at conferences, at all different events, in different podcasts, you name it, he's been there. And his highly acclaimed B2B marketing podcast is the Hard Corps Marketing Show. Again, it'll be in the show notes. He is a leader in the Salesforce community. Casey was named a Salesforce marketing champion there. So not just one of the people there, he's a champion, guys. And he's spoken even at their own very prominent event, Dreamforce. I'd like to welcome Casey to my podcast. Welcome, Casey.
Hey, thank you. I'm really excited to be here.
Oh, thank you. I'm so happy to have you here too. Now, you'll tell me a bit more before, but tell me more about where you started, where you are, your journey and everything. I'd love to hear more about you.
Yeah, I'm just a marketer that has been on a journey to just follow my passion. And there's so many different things you can do in marketing, and I've just been fortunate enough to find different things. And one of the first rocket ships that I caught a hold of was marketing automation, and I really became a fan of Pardot and Salesforce, and had a chance to work with them for a long time. And then I started a podcast, and that really just changed my whole life. And what I realized was I had been hiding behind a lot of the technology, and I had forgotten to connect with my customer. And so I'm on this mission now. There's this thing, I've given it a name. It's disconnected marketing. It's a monster. And I'm guilty of this. I had done all these marketing things. And one of the things, when you look at your marketing and it's slowly going down, it's getting worse, you may have disconnected marketing going on. That's what was happening to me. And it's not your new campaigns. These are like your tried and true campaigns. When you start seeing those things decline, you're like, what is going on here? I realized I had lost touch. I lost touch with my customers. I thought all of my SaaS software would save me, and it was far from the case. It was actually the stuff that was getting in between me and my buyer. And so by starting a podcast, I didn't think that was what was going to happen. I just thought I need more content, so I'm going to make a pod. But I started reconnecting with people who ended up buying from me and being partners and friends, and all sorts of things started happening. And I started understanding the voice of the customer again. And so it set it for me. I got to get out from these SaaS apps, and I got to go say hi. I got to talk to people.
I think there's a lot of companies that are doing that because some of them are just doing set and spray. Some of them are just setting up automation and not actually looking at if it's working or not.
Yeah.
And they're not even going in and doing that voice of customer and saying, is my customer the same? Have they changed? Is my product, has it evolved and it's changed the audience?
Yeah.
So many question marks there that are just not being looked into. And that's part
I've got
of the
a quiz.
Ooh.
I've got a quiz for you. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, go.
Here we go. And everyone listening, you can take the same quiz, and no one will hear your answer, so no one will judge you.
Just me.
Yeah, exactly. And don't forget, I have previously failed this, so everyone, all set. Acknowledge where you're at and go from there. So here's the question. Okay, there's 2 questions. First question: can you name 7 of your customers by company name?
Oh, for me, I can because I work currently for a small consultancy, so it's quite
Well, no,
easy.
no, no. This is good. You can, right?
Yes.
And sometimes it's the logos can really help with that, right?
Yep.
Or this is kind of a cheating code because you have a podcast and you are connected, right? But as people think, yeah, people, even if they don't have a podcast or these different things, they can usually, I remember that logo and that logo. That
Mm.
was a pretty cool company. That was a fun story. Pretty good. But now the next question is, can you name 7 of your customers by first and last name? And usually there's a little bit of a delay there,
Mm.
right? And that delay is often an indication that there may be some disconnected marketing going on. I know for me, before I had a podcast, I could totally tell you the labels and the brands but like, did I know people?
Mm.
And this is just surface level stuff. It really, in marketing, we're supposed to know, what are their pains, what's keeping them up at night, what are the challenges that we could help them solve. So I'm not even asking those things, but we have this delay because we'll let the app handle it where they're a number. We'll let the
Mm.
automation take over, but really we got to step out in front of that. What I realized is that um and I heard your awesome episode. People should check it out, about the Super Bowl commercials and the ads there. I learned this because, if you ever see like a bad commercial and you're like, oh my gosh. And for me, it was Oatly a couple of years ago. The Oatly CEO was sitting in the middle of a field playing on a mini piano, like
There's some
playing
really bad
terribly.
ones.
And
Yeah.
I was like, well, who's this? And this idiot spent, $3-5 million on this. Well, guess what? Maybe he's an idiot. Maybe, well, I'm certainly not going to eat Oatly or drink it or whatever the hell it is. But,
You
or
remember
maybe I
it.
will my coffee. I don't know. So I'll maybe, but like, but I thought it was a terrible ad, but maybe it just wasn't for me. Right. And so one of the things I realized in my own marketing before I started talking to customers was, we make fun of AI for hallucinating, but marketers, we hallucinate all the time, right? Probably worse than AI. When we think we know what our customers need, we think we know what their fears are and what their goals are and what the pains are. Maybe they were 3 years ago, but things have changed. And if we're not connected to them, we end up filling whatever gaps we have with what our own biases say, with what Super Bowl ads we like. And then we end up putting this stuff out there. And that's the cause of this disconnected marketing, this decline in your results, this slow, steady decline. And you know what? It gets worse and worse and worse because all that AI content, it's like an avalanche. It makes all this noise. So all this noise starts happening. It's only going to accelerate and make things worse and worse and worse.
The one thing I love about ads now compared to years and years ago is you have this ability to say we use a Super Bowl ad. There was many of them that actually did
Yeah.
long versions. So you had the short 30 seconds that cost them what $8 million or something ridiculous like that. But if they did the long version, that can then be used for all social channels. And then it can be cut in different ways to be used on even tinier versions into TikTok or pre-teasers and post things. And then within their email
Mm,
copy, they can have little ads in, well, not ads, but at least showing it in there as continuing the journey of that cost. And that's one of
yeah.
the things where you can build almost like a mini community that loves your brand, that wants to see more of it or see the behind the scenes. And that's where those kind of activities I think work well. If a brand, I was actually very disappointed in M&M's not doing one this year because I usually love their ad, but I think that there's something that can be done now where you can make a mini community out of doing a Super Bowl ad. You can invite people to go and be in it from your
Yeah.
from your member base. You can have it as a prize. Like that's an ultimate money can't buy kind of activity. You have them involved. They then spruik it. It's then going out as word of mouth from them. So you're getting some genuine authenticity being talked about by it. You're then doing
Yeah.
the teasers and then building it. You've got it up there. You then build things out of it, behind it, and have this mini community that's supporting it or being part of it, or maybe even saying what should be in it. So I know that's how I can see that small thing. Just a 30-second Super Bowl ad could be made into something amazing, but bringing a community with it. But
Yeah.
tell me more about community. I know you've worked so hard with Salesforce. You've got your own community as well, and many others from other companies and clients you've worked for. But how do you describe or define a community? And then what do you think are those essential elements that really make it stand out the right way?
Yeah, you know what? Like, it certainly isn't the size of the community. That's like, just like we're looking at a podcast, is it the number of listens? No, it's not. It's the quality of the connection you make with the guest. And with a community, it's also connection based. And one of the things is you might be tempted to add 1 million people to your community. But if you only had 20, but they were all in the exact same role, facing the exact same struggles, and they could help each other out, that for me, that really is community. So communities are very much a group of like-minded and like-rolled individuals. They're doing the same thing. The more niche, the better. It's totally opposite from what it was in the old days. You don't want the biggest community. You want the smallest community that has the most niche, same kind of people, because then they can all just be on this call together, helping each other out. We just did a call recently. I have this small community called Connect to Market. We're trying to, and that's not go to market. It's like connect to market. What are the different ways you can connect to them?
Mm-hmm.
And we had, I think, 20 people showed up. This is the first time ever. 20 people showed up, 20 vice presidents of marketing and heads of marketing for SaaS companies that have a founder that's still in founder-led growth mode. Their founder is still their evangelist. The founder is the thought leader. And it's like, how do you support your founder and scale your company in that stage, in that mode, right? It's that specific. It wasn't like, ooh, let's get every company. Let's get the publicly traded ones and the ones that have 4 people. It was, no, let's get the people, either seed or A or B funded, who are trying to help their CEO scale this thing to a point where they get that next level of funding, and eventually a professional CEO comes in. But it was like that precise. And what I was able to do on that community is go and sit in one of the breakout sessions where 4 of these individuals were able to share some of their challenges. And then the other ones were able to share, well, yeah, here's what I did. One even shared, you know what? I think I might be moving on from my company. It's right time. And they all gave them advice and tips. And I have a recruiter you can talk to, and they just all helped each other. So for me, that's like a beautiful thing.
I love that, because you've been in those marketers. Some of them have actually been in that position. They can give real advice,
Yeah.
and then the person receiving it is getting it from someone that has gone through it, and they know that they've gone down the right track, and they can see it as well, because they're being very open about where they're working, how they're working, and it is very unique. I love how there's breakout sessions there as well, so that specific needs can be met for the community.
Yeah.
Is that something you do a lot?
Yeah. We're starting to roll that out because we realize podcasts are great, but we also need a community too. It's almost like bringing all the listeners of a podcast together so they can meet each other. Like, it's way more fun. You can drink beer by yourself, or you can drink it with 20 other people. Sign me up for the 20 other people, you know? So it was a natural extension. So we now offer podcasting services for B2B companies, but we also offer B2B communities too.
And I think having that mix there, because not everyone can attend live. So having that ability for the community to still engage and do it on demand, and even having audio. So when, let's face it, everyone's busy, a lot of people travel or they exercise. That means they can listen to it on the train. They can listen to it when they're doing their morning jog or whatever it is too, or even in the car when they're getting somewhere, so they don't have to watch a video of it. They can actually digest it while listening. So I love that about this medium, and about what you can do with both video and audio to be able to help and be a resource, isn't it? It's a little resource that they can get to whenever they need to.
But there's a little tip. We never record the community meetings. You just don't worry. They're every month, but come to it.
But that's where the podcast is recorded, probably on a topic that was covered.
Yeah. And features maybe someone from the community as a local expert, and no app either. You know, this was a lesson I learned from a good community wizard, I will say. His name is Paul Jones, and he's quite a smart guy, and he is the community czar. And he taught me a lot of things about, I was the first member of his community. And one of the things he said is, you know what, and I've done this too. Knee-jerk reaction is, oh, what platform is that on? Where are you hosting that? And it always killed the community to put it on a platform too soon. So instead, you don't have one. You don't have one because people will never post as much as you think they will early on. So early on, it's just virtual, and you're meeting, seeing each other live in person. Maybe at a certain point, there's a tipping over, and then you launch an app for it, LinkedIn or Slack or something like that, but not right away. And that was a powerful lesson.
It's funny you say that, because for myself, even for this podcast, I had a lot of people give their opinion at the beginning, saying naturally, why don't you have your own LinkedIn? Why don't you have
Right.
this and that? And I was just like, I don't. It's enough for now that's
Yeah.
under my name. It's got its
Yeah.
own website, so people can find it there. And it
Right.
naturally goes out, because I use Spotify, so it goes out to all the major platforms. So it's on them
Yep.
all. But
Yeah.
I didn't see, I naturally, I don't know, I just naturally didn't see the need of having that extra community layer yet, when they could engage with me direct at this stage while I'm still in growth phase.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. You know
wow,
what?
I naturally just was doing something that's a good tip. That's good to know.
You just did it organically. You just did not see, you knew there's something about it that you knew that that's not really the point, right?
And now when's my
And
tipping point though? I've got to work that out.
when is that? Yeah, that's a good question.
And I suppose that's when you need to really understand your audience to be able to know their needs and preferences. How have you gone about finding that out to make sure that any of these communities you make for either yourself or your clients will work?
Well, I think a lot of it is the intention that it's there to help.
Mm-hmm.
And the rule that you can't ever break is that it's there to be a part of your funnel, and you're there to extract leads from it like a machine. As soon as you start doing that, and also never selling on it, never selling and not letting anyone in who will sell, you have to protect it, right? It's like a sacred place where the secrets are kept, friends are made and
Mm-hmm.
things are shared, but never outside that meeting.
I think it'd be fair though if special offers were put forward that were relevant, as long as it wasn't pushed that you must take this.
Right.
Would that be something that you could potentially do? Like, say, for example, I don't know, we'll use Salesforce as an example. Salesforce says, hey, I'd love to offer your members 1 month free on our platform if they happen to have 12 months, whether they're a customer or
Mm-hmm.
not right now.
Yeah.
Would that be something that just could be as an offer that you put into the community so they're aware of it? Or you would prefer and think it's better that you keep that completely separate?
It's a great question. I've thought about doing that for podcast guests.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, you just been on my podcast. Here's some things that some people have said that you can have, but I don't know. I think some people ask for it. I think it was like a resource available to them. That might be okay.
Yeah, as long as it's not pushed, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just
Right.
more of a here's an option for you out there. Because I found a lot of CMOs and CTOs and everything, there will be a stage where they'll be looking to do a new tender for a platform or whatever it might be. And having that option could be something that could help them, particularly if they're more in the startup and they don't have as much funding.
Yeah.
So something, food for thought to think about. But we are talking technology. What technologies have you used? So what do you actually create your communities in?
Well, I think that goes to like you don't create them in there. No technology.
So just be a Zoom meet and greet kind of thing
Just
where
be
they're
a
just
meet and
invited
greet.
to.
Yeah.
I love it. And then where would you recommend there for them to actually put any, I suppose, ongoing questions that they might have to contact? Would it be a form? Would it be a little community group that could be made for them when it gets the right
Yeah.
size?
Before every meeting, we ask them to answer some questions
Mm,
or put some ideas on a board,
yeah.
right? And
So like a
start the
Miro board or
brainstorm ahead of
something.
time. Yeah. Yeah. Start the brainstorm ahead of time. But it's not a forever persisting location that we have to all, staff and manage. It's more of like, hey, in preparation for an upcoming meeting, have at it. And those that wait, they can still add some more while they're there that day, in the meeting.
I think that that's really important because then you are able to actually cater if you need to bring a special guest in as well.
Yeah.
So having that open dialogue where they can
Yeah.
contact you via email, via the event link as well, makes it super important.
Yeah. Just giving people however we can help them. We're just determined to help them. And that's it. And then
And
we'll see. Good things will come from that.
that's always the way, isn't it?
It
Put
is.
positive
Yeah.
things out and it will come back. That's
This
how
is
I
the
like to look at
way.
it. Yes. Now, everyone has to handle both positive and negative aspects of communities. Where we've seen trolls, we've seen people turn up to sessions just to be pains in the asses, to be honest.
Mm.
How have you seen that evolve? Has it gotten worse with the keyboard warriors? Is it more inclusive where people that do attend, they are all supportive? Were your thoughts and experiences?
Yeah, I've never seen that. At least for the communities we've been creating lately. And we wouldn't tolerate it. But I think some of that comes from, it's a classic lesson, marketing lesson of, who's your ICP, right? Or who should be in the community, and then only allow those people in.
Mm.
And from a business perspective, you know, VP of something or CEOs or business owners, someone who can make a purchase decision that reflects to your business, right? So you certainly aren't getting the riffraff as much at that point. But yeah, if there are people that just don't really fit with the crowd, you just don't invite them back. And that's the magic of not having a platform or something where they're enrolled. You don't have to kick them off anywhere. They just never get the next invite.
I like that. And unfortunately, even in face to face, you do see that happen where you've got someone that's really, they're just pushing the envelope too far where it's not required. And if you're there with an agenda, that's just not cool. Everyone else is here to get help or to learn or be part of something or even just to network and know people for the future that might, as you said, as an example before, help you get a job one day or give you advice for if you've got a particular challenge you want to overcome. Those people
Yeah.
are just not going to help that situation at all. So I do like that there's that opportunity where you can just go, okay, let them be it here, but just make sure that somehow they're not able to attend the next one, or it's a topic that they're not going to be interested in as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Life's too short not to do work that you love, and some people haven't quite figured out yet that they shouldn't be commercial fishermen or something. Maybe that's where they should be. And they shouldn't be in marketing or running a business. They should go fishing. Right. And like, go get on a boat.
They can be
Maybe
stinky.
maybe that's your passion, and go do that. But we don't need to, like, if we're all in our passion, we don't need to hang out with you if you're grumpy and confused about yours.
Exactly. What was the most fun about being a Salesforce champion? How did you get that and how did you help the community? I'd love to understand more about what you did there because that just sounds so cool. To be honest, you're a champion. Like you could have a little coat of arms there too.
Well, really, the best part about that was just getting a hoodie sent to me in the mail. Honestly,
Nice.
free swag. I'm all about it. I'm still a sucker for it every time. Um, I think it was a nice compliment. Uh, but I try not to think too much about things like that. Like, there's awards, and then there's, sometimes the moments helping individual people was what it was all about, and seeing the aha moments. I remember being in a conference room with a president of a regional bank, and this covered several of our states, and he's a pretty important guy. It was just me and him, and I was trying to explain marketing automation to him. And instead of explaining that, I was trying to explain this more advanced concept I thought of I was going to put into a book. And I was trying to detail it, and his eyes were just, he's just like trying to understand what's going on. And they're glazing over, and I could tell he just wasn't picking it up. So then I said, let me go back to the basics. And I said, marketing automation, capture, nurture, automate, and reporting. He goes, okay. And I started describing capture and then nurture and automate. And he came alive. He was like, oh my gosh, we can do this. We have this app now. I'm like, yeah, this is what you have now. This is what we're helping you set up. Oh my gosh. He called in his VP of sales to come in and listen to this. Hey, cancel your meeting. Come hang out and check this out. And he just came alive. And so for me, it was a good reminder to don't just skip over the fundamentals, right? And the key things. And so I actually redid the entire book. So that turned into my book, but the first 30% of this other thing was already created. And I said, nope, scrap that. I have to go back to the fundamentals and talk through capture, nurture, automate, and reporting. And so those moments, you coming alive, or watching a young marketer who I was mentoring in the Salesforce ecosystem, like get a bunch of certifications and like pass me in the number of certs that he had, and get several job offers. That was worth more than any title. But I do appreciate that hoodie.
I don't blame you. Right now it's cold for you. I'm surprised you're not wearing it now.
For those, you can't see me. I'm bundled up. I'm wearing like 9 blankets and a hat with ears on it, and the cold north of the US.
Don't forget the cat in your lap keeping you warm. Like you've got
and
everything.
The dog in my lap.
Yeah.
Yep.
The crackling fireplace.
The parrot on my shoulder.
You're just missing the eye patch now.
Yeah, I'll work on that next time.
Definitely. Now, I think that's one thing. I think when people start looking at marketing or communities or anything, they go too grand straight away. Like you said, that I'm assuming one of the bigger mistakes that you've seen out there is like, okay, we must have an app for it. We must have a guest that's one of the top 10 in the world. We must have a background that looks absolutely amazing. So you get the digital team onto that. We must have it at this time. We must do this. But really, it's about the basics. What is the purpose? What is the content? And who is the audience? And if you get those right, it doesn't matter about those bells and whistles, because they're there to absorb the content. They're not going to remember your background. They're not going to think, oh, wow, that digital team did an amazing job on designing it. Yeah. Yes, if you get a really fancy guest that gives you great insights, it's great. But if you get one that's just fluffy, it's not going to work for you either. And sometimes they're so removed from where the community is at that they actually can't give information that's relevant now.
Yeah.
I find that's a bit of a struggle in a lot of different avenues in businesses as well. And is that something that you've seen happen outside of your communities a bit, where you're now brought in to make a community that actually makes sense?
I think what works for me is being a part of communities myself, right? Mm-hmm. And paying attention to what makes me pay attention, right? Just like starting a business, whatnot. What am I passionate about? I got to pay attention to where my interests are and what I get teary-eyed over or super stoked to talk about. Same thing with community. And so for me, it was being a part of several communities. I was part of this fractional leader community with a bunch of fractional CMOs and COOs and all different kinds. And I kept going back to that community. And that I mentioned, Paul Jones, beginning wizard of community. And he was running this community. And it was on my calendar, and I would see it and I'd go, do I want to go to this? But then I'd go to it. And now I always got value. And afterward, I would think, yeah, that was totally worth it. Totally worth it. Every time I'd have that thought, do I want to go to this? Yeah, okay, I'll give it a shot. Great value every time. And so then it's the one thing that I didn't unsubscribe from. It's the one thing that I did participate in, at least community-wise. And so that was, and I was like, why is that? Because there are a bunch of other people and communities and certainly Slack groups that I'm a part of and haven't participated in a year and a half, And I think for me, it was people that I could relate to, that could relate to me, that maybe we could help each other out as well. But it wasn't some sort of intense BNI demand for lead sharing or something. It was more, hey, we're fellow travelers on this journey. Can we share advice or advice experience with each other, just to maybe, or just a moment of, yeah, that does suck. I've been there too.
I think that's some of it, isn't it? That validation
Yeah.
that you think you're alone, and then you talk in this community and you actually get validated that you aren't alone, you aren't crazy.
Yeah.
It's just shit, move on. or
Yeah.
there's another path. Here's another way you could do it. Or why haven't you even thought about this? This is something different as well. So I can see a huge value in community, and I'm surprised that there's not more companies investing in it where it makes sense.
It takes work. It's harder to track, but it's totally worth it. It's counterintuitive. Like these days with all the AI stuff continuing to get noisier and noisier, it's the only way to go. You got to connect to your market.
Yeah, if you don't hear that voice, who is your market then?
Yeah. It's your own bias. You're hallucinating. You're imagining your market.
Oh, that could be
And
funny.
imaginary customers, you when they buy things, you can't spend that money, you know? No one will
Exactly.
take imaginary customer money.
No, definitely not. Now, one of my questions I really wanted to ask you is, how do you actually create a community that is sustainable over time, particularly when you've got a changing digital landscape?
Yeah, I think you earn it every time. Every meeting you earn it, you know. So I think the natural tendency is to think that like you're like a dragon hoarding gold and treasure. I've been that way with like email lists and data. Either way, you know, you're like, oh, I'm a big marketing dragon hoarding all these things. Ooh, look at my list of 10,000 people. I once worked at a company when I first started there as a young marketer. I didn't know any better. And they're like, hey, here's our database. It has all of our customers and all of the contacts we've ever made. And this company was around since the 70s. And there were people in there from when we wore socks up to our knees and they had blue stripes around them. They were still in the database. Before there was even email, people were in
Ooh.
there. Third of those people might even be dead at this point, but that organization saw their database as like a gold mine. But what they didn't realize is that that's not the right metaphor, because constantly the data is getting eroded and evaporated, and you have to keep adding more because it's all just disappearing, and you want to just maximize the use of it while you have it, you know. And
Mm,
so same thing with the community, maximize your use of it while you have it and earn it every day.
I love that. Now, I have a final question I ask everybody.
Yes.
It won't be as hopefully not as scary as ones you've had in the past.
I was gonna say, does it involve me choosing what actor plays me in a real life documentary?
Well, we know from ChatGPT the answer to that one already, so I'm not going to do that. It's too
Yes,
easy for
we
you.
do.
But what brand, any brand in the world, best represents you and why?
What brand best represents me? You know what? Um, I'm gonna go with what's right in front of me here. This pod is now sponsored by Celsius Energy Drink.
We've got them here too. I've seen them.
This one is flavored the Cosmic Vibe
Oh,
Sparkling Fruit Punch Edition. Essential energy, accelerates metabolism, burns body fat, but basically it's a bunch of caffeine and water that tastes yummy. Um, you know what? I'm like a can of energy, you
I
know?
like it. I
Yeah.
like it. I can feel it and see it as well because you're just so passionate about this topic. I love it.
Maybe healthy, maybe not, but we'll find out later. Let's push that on to later, and let's just have fun now and be full of energy now, and we'll take a
Oh.
nap later. Nap time on the weekend,
Who needs a nap? Come on.
right? Nap when you're dead.
Exactly. I'm just going to do a quick wrap up because I
Yeah.
love doing a wrap up. So, we've been so fortunate today to hear from an expert on communities and how to actually get started. Now, the amazing thing is, you don't have to have all the bells and whistles to get started. It's actually about taking a step back and realizing, do you have a community to connect with first? And if so, how can we start helping them? It's about helping and engaging. It's not about trying to make sales or funnel leads or anything like that. A community is built to help. That is its purpose. And communities actually don't need to be huge. They don't have to be this 100,000 list where no one ever turns up. It's all about the quality of the people there because they want to be there and be engaged. So the size doesn't matter. It can be small because that means you're going down the niche path, which is probably the best when it comes to community growth because you're going to have like-minded people there. You're going to have people with similar roles, people that have similar challenges or have been there and can help others or can give advice, etc. And that's what you want to do at the core in the roots of your community, because again, it comes back to helping each other. Now, you could do it face-to-face or virtually, but virtually is probably going to be an easier one at this stage when you're starting, because then you're not having to invest as much time and effort in to begin with. And virtual means that you can put reminders in diaries, and then you can actually send out beforehand, what questions would you like to ask on this topic, or what would you like covered on this topic? And then the organizers of the community can help. Now, what I'm talking about there is having some live events where it's a safe space where you say it's not being recorded. So if you want help with this, you have to attend. So it might be a lunchtime kind of activity where it doesn't impact people too much and they can have a munch at the same time. You might have a guest speaker there too on that topic, but then you let people go off into breakout virtual rooms to help each other. And you can help facilitate it as well. But again, it's all about that helping mentality. How can people get over this problem they've got? What are potential solutions? Who could they go to? Who could they network with? It's making friends and having secrets and things staying in that community, which is why it's not recorded. Now, you might have a resource center somewhere where things are all saved. So not those, because you're not recording them. But if there's any resources that are really great or any other recordings that might be done, such as podcasts, a resource center is probably really cool to have alongside your community so people can go in there and get information at any time too. But really, you don't need to have any fancy apps to start with. You don't have to have a LinkedIn presence or a Slack channel or anything like that. You can just start with virtual live meet and greet type activities. Now, one thing that I loved was being able to actually do those pre-questions. So sending it out and really feeding so that you knew the topics that you're going to cover were going to help. And really, if you have it niched, you only allow the people in that makes sense. So you don't have any of that negativity coming in there from someone that might not be at the right level or might not even be in the right industry, depending on your community group. So that's where you can actually cater your community and who attends. But it all comes down to relevance, paying attention, and giving value. As long as everyone goes away with what I call the golden nugget, at least one thing, then everyone is getting value out of it and will come back again and again and potentially tell people as well in similar situations to come and join, because you want to grow this community organically as well so that you have earned their respect and their love and they're coming back to you for the right reasons. But really, you just want to maximize the use when they're there to make sure they're getting everything they can out of it. Is there anything else to add there?
Have fun. Connect with people.
Yes, it's all about humans.
Yeah.
AI can't do everything for us, guys. The human element will always be needed. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Casey.
Yeah,
I love
thank
this.
you.
Now,
You're
everyone,
great. How many episodes do you have? I don't.
I'm
It
way
sounds
over
like you've done
100
like
now.
300 or something. Yeah.
Getting there.
Yeah. You're really good. That's great. I don't say that to everyone because it's like not all babies are cute, you know?
Yeah, I get that too.
You're like, oh, nice baby. You're like, no, that's a cute baby. Dang. So yeah, great job. That was awesome. It was a real pleasure to chit chat, hang out for a bit. I'm sorry I have to scoot, but
no.
We should catch up sometime and just talk about, your business, my business, and, see if we can collaborate.
Sounds amazing. And everyone, you can still connect with Casey. He's on LinkedIn. He has his own podcast you've got to listen to as well, the Hard Corps Marketing Show. Make sure that you check out the show notes to get the access to it. You'll probably hear more of Casey and I in the future. But everyone else, make sure to follow More to Marketing for the playlist and for more fabulous guests in the future. More to Marketing.